8 o'clock? All right. Okay, guys. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, great job, great job. All right, first of all, so welcome to everybody. Let's take care of the preliminaries. How many of you guys have a smartphone? Raise your hand if you have a smartphone. Okay, so what do we want to do with our smartphone? We want to turn them off. Yeah, or put them on stun or vibrates, right? But we definitely don't want them on right now. Very, very good. Secondly, I'm hoping we're live streaming at this point. Good morning, have a seat, welcome, welcome. So welcome to everybody that's watching on our live stream, and we appreciate you guys as well. Now the second thing is we are a mastermind. So what are we, guys? Mastermind. Yeah, we are a mastermind. A mastermind. Who can tell me what a mastermind is? Anybody have any ideas? Come on, come on.
A group of smart people networking.
A group of smart people networking. That's a good. That's a good definition of it. Anybody else want to add anything to it?
When two or more people come together to create a mind in harmony.
Yeah, when two or more minds come together in the spirit of harmony, and the key word is to be in the spirit of
harmony.
Come on, what's the word, guys?
Harmony.
Yeah, harmony, harmony. In fact, if you read the book, Think and Grow Rich, how many of you guys have read that book? How many of you guys have not read that book? Okay, we have a couple of you haven't. Well, it needs to be on your to-read list for sure. Napoleon Hill uses the word harmony over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. In fact, one of the things you really learn from reading that book is that repetition truly is the mother of learning. How many would agree with that? We need to hear things over and over and over. In the book Think and Grow Rich, he talks about harmonious relationships. What's the expression?
Harmonious relationships.
Are you guys still asleep? What's the expression?
Harmonious relationships.
Thank you. Harmonious relationships. Now, there's something psychic about a mastermind. The psychic thing is that when two minds come together, a third mind is formed. How many know what I'm talking about? Right? So in other words, if Nate and I get together and Nate says, you know, Jeff, I came up with this idea, and I think we should do this. And I said, wow, that's a good idea, Nate. If we do that, we could also do this. And Nate says, oh, I didn't know we could do that. I said, yep, we could do that. And in fact, I know these people here, and if we bring them into the group, we could do this as well. And then Nate says, well, if we can do all that, we can also do this. And now Nate's original idea is going into something that neither one of us on our own would have ever come up with. How many understand what I'm talking about here? Is that important?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you think that's important, if you want to have a lot of success. That's called a mastermind. What's it called?
Mastermind.
Anytime two or more minds. So it only takes two minds to form a third. True or true?
True.
And the beautiful thing about a mastermind from a psychic point of view is that it creates synergy. What's the word, guys?
Synergy.
Come on, twice as loud.
Synergy.
And who knows what the word synergy means? Good morning, good morning. Who knows what synergy means? Go ahead, Randy.
1 plus 1 is more than 2.
Yeah, when the sum is greater than the individual parts. True or true?
True.
So that's the beautiful thing about synergy, is that you get to leverage other people's minds, other people's experiences, other people's knowledge. What else can you leverage from other people?
Money.
Yeah, can you leverage their money? What else can you leverage from them? Knowledge. What else can you leverage from them? Resources, relationships. Can you leverage their credit?
Sure.
Yeah, lots of things you can leverage. Sure, true. Okay, are you guys awake this morning?
Yes.
Okay, you know what? Why don't we start by having everybody please stand up right now. 1, 2, 3. Whoa! I know it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Most of you guys probably don't really get your brain going till 9 or 10. But you know what? How you do anything is how you do everything. Let me hear you say that, please.
How you do anything is how you do everything.
Now say, how I do anything is how I do everything.
How I do anything is how I do everything.
So in other words, if you're half-assing it in here, chances are you're also half-assing it out there. True or true? True. Okay, now how many of you guys really want to become successful? It's important in your life to become successful. Is successful a vibration?
Yes.
Is success a vibration? Raise your hand if you believe success is a vibration. Okay, is it a low energy vibration or high energy vibration?
High.
Okay, well when you're floating around all day long in your low energy, do you wonder why you're not having as much success as you need? What do you need to be vibrating at? at? A low energy or a high energy? And everybody in this room except me seems to be half asleep. So it's time for us to get a little exercise in. So when everybody please follow me, put your hands way up in the air, and if you're watching at home, you should do the same thing. Let's get a good stretch in. Follow me. Let's go in this direction and give a good groan. Oh. And now let's go in the other direction. Give a good groan. Oh. Now lean backwards. Oh. And touch your toes if you can. Oh. Okay, turn to both your neighbors. Give them a high five. Say, you're awesome. You're awesome. You're awesome. You're awesome. Okay, no touching, right? Okay, you're awesome. All right, have a seat, guys. Okay, good job, good job. So, we're a mastermind. Again, how I do anything is how I do everything. Let me hear you say that, please. How I do everything is how I do everything. And the great thing about all of my coachings, teachings, trainings is that every time you get to come here, you get to see a mirror of who you really are. Because if you're, like I said, if you are only, half-assing it while you're here, if you're multitasking while you're here, if you're daydreaming while you're here, I can guarantee you know what's going on when you're not here? Same thing. This is not a vacation from life. How many would agree? This is life, right? We're not taking a vacation from life. So let me ask you guys a couple of questions. Number one, how many of you would like to have a lot more money in your life? Can I see a show of hands? Okay, how many would like to have a whole lot more happiness in your life? How many would like to have a whole lot more of both? Great. Well, welcome to Tuesday Mornings with Jeff. That's really what we're all about. And the first thing I always do is I want to begin really by let's give it up for our host, Corey Lunatic Schwartz. Let's get up for Corey. Thank you, Corey. Thank you so much. We've got a great spread of food here. He allows us to host this event here, so we really appreciate you, Corey. Thank you so much. All right, so 80% of all success is what? Showing up. Yeah, showing up. So what I want for you guys to do real quickly is to reach around and pat both your neighbors on the back and say, congratulations for showing up. There you go. And congratulations to you guys for you showing up as well. Okay, so, all right. So anytime I do any teaching or any training, I have 2 rules. How many rules do I have? 2 rules. Thank you. And the first rule is this: don't believe a word I say. Why do I remind all of you guys before all of my trainings not to believe a word I say? Because it's only coming from my own experience. It doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it false. It doesn't make it right. And it doesn't make it wrong. It just makes it my experience. But whose experience is important here this morning? Yeah, your experience is important here this morning. So all I can tell you guys is that the principles and the ideas that we're going to be talking about this morning have transformed my life and have now transformed the lives of literally thousands and thousands and thousands of other people. And if you learn these principles, much more importantly, if you actually apply them in your life, I believe that your life will be transformed too. So how many of you guys will be willing to be open? And the key word is to be open, absolutely. And actually do these principles in your life, and if they work for you, you're going to keep on doing them. And if these principles don't work for you, you're free to toss them. So how many guys want to be open 100%? Is anybody not? Okay, we're going to find out. Now, as for rule number 2, since we're all spending our precious time here, how many believe your time is precious? Yeah, I believe our time is precious. What do you think is more precious than our time? I don't think so anyways. So since we're all spending our precious time here, how many of you guys want to get the very most out of this morning? Good. How many of you guys would like to learn faster? Great. How many would like to remember more of what you learned? Terrific. And research indicates that the key to all of that is what? Participation. Come on, what's the word, guys? Participation, involvement, absolutely. There's an expression we use. What I hear, I forget. What I see, I remember. But what I do, I understand. How many believe that's correct? Right? So that's called accelerated learning. What's it called? Accelerated learning. Or speed learning. What's it called? Speed learning. So how many guys want to learn fast, remember more of what you learn? Okay, so how many guys want to participate 100%? Is anybody not? Okay, we're going to find out. All right, welcome. Great to see you. Okay, and just for the record, how many of you guys wouldn't raise your hands no matter what I asked you? Okay, a few of you. Okay, so since we're going to be spending the next 90 minutes together, is it okay if I just take a minute to tell you real quickly a little bit about my background for those of you that don't really know me all that well? Is that all right? Okay, good. So in 2003, I was already 49 years old. So we'll fast forward, and I had the opportunity to hook up with a really good buddy of mine. His name was T. Harv Eker. Anybody know who T. Harv Eker is? Yeah, and T. Harv was actually launching a company called Peak Potentials Training. And at the time, he was still pretty much in launch phase, and he hadn't actually written this book yet. And I went to Los Angeles to see his 3-day event called the Millionaire Mind Intensive. Now, how many of you guys have ever been to the 3-day event? No. Okay, how many of you actually seen Harv train in that event? So we have one person here besides myself. So Harv is really truly an entrepreneurial genius. I'm 66 years old, and I would say that in my entire lifetime of business, I've never met anybody quite like Harv. He's vibrating and thinking on such a different level than you or me or anybody else. It's like freaky scary how brilliant he is. And I went to Los Angeles to see his 3-day event, and within a couple of months, I was his right-hand person, his chief operating officer, and he was writing the book, and we were growing the business together, and for a couple of years, we grew Peak Potentials, and while I was running the company anyways, and we went from a small little regional company in Vancouver, Canada. Anybody ever been to Vancouver? Beautiful city, right? Yeah, in the summertime, not so much in the winter. I wasn't crazy about Vancouver in the winter, but I did love it in the summertime, and great people. I'm a Canadian, and Harv is a Canadian, so we were up in Vancouver building the company, and while I was building the company, not only did I have the opportunity to build an amazing company and watch it grow from a little regional company into a global company, and today these same programs are being taught all over the world. They're the exact same programs that we were teaching back in 2003, 2004, 2005 when I was with the company. Those programs may have changed slightly, but principles of success pretty much last forever. How many would agree? And these principles that Harv had created in all of these programs, or taught in all of these programs, really are life-changing programs. And so one of the things that really impacted me was Harv talked about his story. And when he talked about his story, he said, I discovered something really strange as I went all across the United States teaching people street-smart strategies for high-speed success. Now, how many of you guys would like to learn street-smart strategies for high-speed success? And if there's anybody to teach it to you, it's Harv Eker. Harv is definitely the guy that will teach you street-smart strategies for high-speed success. Try saying that 5 times quickly, by the way. It's not so easy, right? All right, so in any event, what he found was that he could have 2 people sitting side by side in the exact same room listening to the exact same information. And one person takes that information and skyrockets to success, and what do you think happens to the person sitting right next to him? Not a darn thing, right? And was it because of the presenter? Was it because of the material that the presenter was presenting? So was it because of the room? Why was it that one person could skyrocket to success listening to the exact same information as the person sitting right next to them, and the person sitting right next to them never does anything with it? Why is that?
Implementation.
What would you say, Kevin?
Implementation.
Implementation. What did you add? Mental blocks. Why else? Why do you think it is that, I mean, statistically, we know. I mean, I was in the seminar business, a big seminar business. We'd have multi-thousands of people, and unfortunately, we knew that out of the multi-thousands of people that came to our events, no matter how good the information was, no matter how great the presenter was, only a fraction of them would actually, hey, George, only a fraction of them would actually achieve massive success. Only a fraction of them. And that's when Harv realized that you could have the best tools. I could give you the best coaching in the world, the best strategies in the world. By the way, how many would like to have the best strategies in the world? Okay, now I could give them to you, but you know what? For most people, it's not going to make a hell of a beans of difference anyways, because they'll sabotage themselves all day long. How many of you know what I'm talking about? And that's when he began to realize that when he started to blend the inner game, what's it called? Inner game. With the outer strategies. In other words, not only knowing the street smart strategies, but also understanding what's going on inside your head and how you've been programmed. And until we get to the root causes of why you're acting the way you act right now, it doesn't really matter what we teach you, because it's not going to make a hill of beans of difference. Does that make sense to everybody? And as soon as we began to blend, and the key word is to blend. Yeah, the inner world, right? What's going on inside your head? What do you think? What do you believe? What do you do? What do you not do? And what are your reasons for doing it or not doing it? That's called our programming. What's it called? Programming. Yeah, if our programming is set for failure, no matter how great the strategies are I teach you, guess what's going to happen for you? If you're set for failure. No matter who you work with, no matter what you do, if you're programmed to fail, what's going to happen? Yeah. Because that's what you're programmed for. And until you change that part of your programming, it doesn't matter what you get into, because if you're programmed to fail, no matter what you get into, guess what you're going to do? You're going to fail. How many understand what I'm talking about? So Harv began to blend the inner game strategies, because Harv went through it himself. You think most people have blocks that they have to get through on their way to success? How many believe that we all have blocks we have to work through on our way to success? Sure. So Harv said, you know, if I ever figure out how to crack the code of being successful as an entrepreneur, I'm going to make it my mission in life to help as many people as possible, because I know how frickin' hard it is. How many would agree? To become successful in business, it's a challenge. True or true? True. It's a major challenge. To become successful requires a lot of energy, requires a lot of sacrifice, requires a lot of focus, requires a lot of frustration, requires exposing yourself to lots of negativity or rejection. True or true? True. It takes so if we're going to be in business, don't get in business unless you intend to make a lot of money. Otherwise, it's much easier to get a job. How many would agree? There's a lot less headaches in a job than owning a business. True or true? True. So if you're going to own a business, you may as well get rich. How many would agree with that? So Harv believes this, I believe this. And you know what? There are no accidents. How many would agree? There are no accidents. If you weren't capable, every single person in this room, of achieving massive, what's the word? Massive. Financial success as an entrepreneur, you wouldn't be here right now. There are no accidents. How many would agree? Your mind is totally capable of absorbing the exact information you need to have in order to be successful. And I will tell you that over the time that I spent working with Harv and at Peak Potentials, the exact knowledge you need is available to you. It's not like what you need to be successful is out there and nobody knows what it is. Every answer to every question you need to be massively successful has already been discovered by somebody else. How many believe that's actually true? You don't actually have to do any original thinking at all. What you have to be smart enough to do is follow the people that are really successful, see what they do, and then do what they do. How many think that's a good idea? You know, there's an expression, if you want to get rich, do what? Ray, how many think that's a pretty good idea? Is that very complicated? No. Raise your hand if you think it's not that complicated. All you got to find something. What's he do? He's making a lot of money doing that. And look how he does it. I could do that. That'd be fun. Yeah, I'm going to do what that guy's doing. How many think that's a good idea? You don't have to do any thinking at that point. You say, hey, look, I'll be your apprentice. You only have to pay me. Or just let me work by your side and let me watch what you're doing. And by the time I've spent some time with you, I'll figure it all out, and then I'll be on my way. True or true? Yeah. Nowadays, are there such a thing as apprenticeship programs? Yes. Not many. Not too many. Most people I know, they don't have an apprenticeship program. So my feeling is the smartest thing that you can do is invest your time, your energy, your money, everything in getting the right knowledge insight to win both the inner game and the outer game. How many think that's a good idea? Which means we've got to work on our mindset and we have to have the right strategies. How many think it's a combination of both? And the problem most people I see have is that here's what they do. And many of you guys have seen this before. All right. Oh. That's bad. Let me do this again. Okay. Wake up, Jeff. Okay. RV, RK, RY. Okay, you guys have seen this 1,000 times if you've trained with me. Right? What does RV stand for? Right vehicle. Yeah, if you guys, how many guys want to become financially free? How many would like to become financially free in the next 12, 24, 36 months? How many believe it's feasible? The key word is it? Feasible. Raise your hand, believe it's feasible. That anybody, I don't care who you are, I don't care how old you are, I don't care how much education you have, I don't really care how much your IQ is, as long as you're not under like 40. Okay, so in other words, if you can think and you can speak, you can get rich. How many believe that's possible in this day and age? Right? So the right vehicle. Now, how many of you guys know people that are always looking for the right vehicle? What can I get into that's going to make me rich? Do a lot of people think about that? Do you think a lot of people are always saying, I wonder what can I get into that's going to make me a lot of money? How many of you think that they think about that? How many think a lot of people think about that? How many think about they think about it all the time? Getting into the right vehicle. Okay, now, RK. What does RK stand for? Right knowledge. Right knowledge. So once you choose a vehicle, is there certain knowledge you're going to have in order to be successful in that vehicle? Yes. Yeah, so in other words, if you decide that you want to get into, let's say, online marketing, are there certain skills and knowledge you're going to have in order to be successful in online marketing? Yes. If you want to get into, let's say, real estate, are there certain skills and knowledge you're going to have in order to be successful in real estate? Yes. No matter what you get into, is there certain specialized knowledge? What's the word? Specialized knowledge. Twice as loud. Specialized knowledge. That you're going to have to be successful in the vehicle you choose. Yes or yes? Yes. Okay, now if you don't have that specialized knowledge, what's the likelihood you're going to be successful in your vehicle? Not pretty low. Okay, so and then RY stands for what? Right. Yeah, now here's the challenge. Here's the challenge. Everybody I know spends 99.9% of their time looking at this and looking at this, and they spend like 0% of their time working on this. Where can I make the money and what do I need to know to make it? I'm a loser, but where can I make the money? What do I need to learn to do it? And they'll spend thousands of dollars going to seminars learning how to get rich to win something. True or true? I see it every single weekend. Either it's online marketing, or it's real estate, or it's MLM, or it's whatever. And at the end of the day, what is the single most important thing that's going to determine your success? More than anything? You. You are the root of your success. Say, I am the root of my success. I am the root of my success. Now say it like you mean it. I am the root of my success. Tell both your neighbors that. I am the root of my success. I am the root of my success. Yeah, you guys are the root of your success. So the goal, what's the word? The goal is for you to grow yourself into a level 10 person. That's the goal. Because when you're a level 10 person, whatever you choose to get into, what kind of results are you going to get? Because what kind of a person have you chosen to become? And naturally, you're now set to do level 10 work at level 10 standards. True or true? Now, before you even worry about the vehicle or getting the right knowledge, you know what you need to work on more than anything? Becoming what? The right you. Okay, well, Tuesday mornings is a lot about that. I'm going to teach you all about the business side of things, but we need to get your mind straight. How many would agree? Because until your mind is straight, it doesn't matter what you learn on the business side, you're not going to do it. You're going to have blocks that you're going to want to do it, you're going to talk about doing it, but when it gets time to do it, it's not going to get done for whatever particular reason. How many of you understand what I'm talking about here? This is like one of the biggest challenges that everybody, including moi, including myself, that we all face. How many understand what I'm talking about here, right? Okay, so Harv said, look, I can show you the right vehicles, and in fact, how many would agree right now that there is a right vehicle for you right now, the perfect right vehicle, where you get to use your passion, you get to use your talents, you get to use your skills, you get to solve other people's problems, and you get rich while you're doing it? How many would like that? where you're getting rich doing what you love. How many would love that life? What percentage of all people out there do you think are getting rich doing what they love?
Pretty low.
Pretty low. Why? Don't you think most people, how many people do you think would like to get rich doing what they love?
Everybody.
If everybody would love to get rich doing what they love, then why is it that such a few number of people actually do?
Most people don't know what they love.
Most people don't know what they love?
Most people don't know what they want.
Most people don't know what they want? What do you guys think? What else? Yes, yes, go ahead, Janice.
Yeah, many people don't have a purpose in life at all.
Most people don't have, okay, that's right. How many would agree with that? In fact, according to Napoleon Hill, he wrote a book called Outwitting the Devil. How many of you guys have read that book? Sharon Lecter actually annotated, brilliant book. And what does Napoleon Hill say? 98% of all people are called, what's the word? They drift through life from one series of dramatic events to another series of dramatic events, and they have very little control over their life, and they just drift through life. Were you going to say something, Janice?
Yes, the one phrase in that book just blew me away. I mean, it's an allegory, but it's basically saying, I'll get you in your habits and I'll tell you for the rest of your life.
Thank you. I'll get you in your habits, and I'll have you for the rest of your life. That's right. And guess what? The devil has most all of us because of our shitty habits. We are the sum total of our habits. How many would agree? If you're not massively successful, you know why? You don't have massively successful habits. If you had massively successful habits, you know what you would have? Your roots create your fruits. Let me hear you say that. My roots create my fruits. Again.
My roots create my fruits.
If you're not at all happy, or you feel as though you haven't tapped into your full potential, how many believe you haven't tapped into your full potential? How many believe you haven't even come close to tapping into your full potential? Right? That's because of your roots. Guess what? You change your roots, you'll change your roots. Raise your hand. That's what Tuesday mornings are really all about. So what Harv said is, I'm going to write a book, and I'm going to explain to everybody how their frickin' programming got into their brain in the first place, why everybody, and I mean everybody, have blocks that stops them from anywhere even close to reaching their full potential. And I'm going to break it down to the ridiculous and show everybody step by step how to rebuild their programming so that they're set for level 10. Because when you're set for level 10, then whatever you choose to get into and whatever knowledge you need to get, if you're a level 10 person, you will get it. How many would agree? Great, fantastic. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Now, before we do, what I'd like everybody to do is how many of you guys have your declaration sheets? Okay, all right, very good. If you don't, maybe you can share it with a neighbor. So before we get up and do them, I want for you guys to understand something. I am a big advocate of speaking out loud and doing affirmations and declarations. Why? Why do you guys think that I'm such a big advocate for declarations and affirmations, saying them out loud? Anybody have any ideas?
Repetition helps us, what's the word I'm looking for?
Reprogram.
Well, yes, reprogram. It really helps us internalize the lessons.
Okay, all right, George?
Repetition is the mother of learning.
Repetition is the mother of learning, yep. In fact, I'm going to be teaching a full 2 days on the 13 steps for the Andrew Carnegie, basically the Think and Grow Rich book. And you know, over the last 3 weeks or so, it's like I spend hours every day in that book. Every day. And I've had these amazing epiphanies. And one of them is how many times he repeats the same basic stuff over and over and over and over and over again in every single chapter. Maybe he changes the words a little bit, but it's the same basic stuff, and he just keeps repeating it and pounding it into your head. By the time you finish reading the book, you've heard the same idea expressed in many, many different ways. You guys know what I'm talking about? And you need to, it's almost like you need to be constantly constantly bombarding your brain. We get 60,000 thoughts in a day. And how many of those 60,000 thoughts can you intentionally plant inside your mind? So the only seeds you're planting are the seeds of success. So the only thing that can bubble back up to you are what? Success. Ideas for success, right? Because right now, unfortunately, included in all of our programming is a bunch of bullshit. You can call it, imagine that your mind is like a computer, and inside your computer mind right now are a bunch of viruses. Raise your hand if you believe you have viruses inside your mind right now. And at the worst possible time, that virus will kick in. True or true? True. Okay, well, first we have to become aware that we actually have viruses that actually stop us from achieving success so that we can do something about it. True or true? True. So declarations to me, when you say them out loud, I mean, the more I prepare to do this training, the more I'm spending like all day long every day repeating certain affirmations to myself 1,000 times a day. And I'm 66 and I'm repeating this stuff because it's kind of like you have to cement this stuff deep inside your mind, especially to change old habits. How many would agree? Right? And the analogy that I heard Napoleon Hill use, because vinyl records back then were a big thing, right? Was, have you ever seen a vinyl record before they actually put any music on it? Do you know what a vinyl record looks like before there's anything on it?
I've never heard of a vinyl record.
Okay, how many of you guys? Okay, very funny, right? You and I, we know about them too well, right? Okay, so how many of you guys have ever seen a vinyl record before there's any music on it? It's just a nice, smooth, flat piece of plastic. True or true? True. So imagine if the first time the music is put on there, it makes a little groove. And the second time the needle goes in and it follows that groove, the groove gets a little bit deeper. And the third time the needle goes in that groove, it gets a little bit deeper. And every time you play that record now, the needle gets a little bit deeper into it and the groove gets deeper and deeper. Can you guys imagine that? Yeah. Raise your hand if you can imagine that. That's exactly what Napoleon Hill was saying. This is how you reprogram yourself through autosuggestion. Every single time that you say these things over and over and over and over and over again in your mind, it's like your mind, it's like it's creating a thinking path that your brain connects to, and now that's what you're automatically going to start thinking after a while. Now, it's not something you can do for one day and it's done. It's like you got to do, like that's why sometimes I say do it for 30 days. If for 30 days you were saying these declarations out loud many times during the day, I guarantee you would all be different people. Now, how hard is it to actually do it? How hard is it to actually say, oh, I'm gonna say every hour, I'm going to set my watch, and I'm going to set an alarm, and on the hour, I'm going to stand up, because it's going to take me a whole 30 seconds to say this, and I'm going to say them out loud. Now, how hard would it be to actually do that? No, but how many people will actually do it? Nobody. That's the difference between successful people and non-successful people. If I had a room of 100 people, I would probably find 2 people that would say, I will do it that will. And everybody else in that room are the other 98% that are drifters. Autosuggestion is how you change who you are. How many of you would like to change yourself for the better? How many would like to be the best version of yourself you could be? If you're going to do that, how is that going to happen? If it's going to be, it's up to who? Me. If it's to be, it's up to? Me. Tell your neighbor that.
It's up to me.
Yeah, it's up. Look, and not only that, the fact that you're here this morning tells me not only that you're capable of it, but you actually physically took the action to be here this morning. True, true. True. And you know, for that, I want you to give yourselves a round of applause. Yeah, give yourselves a round of applause. All right, so we're going to do these declarations. Yes, go ahead, Sheila.
I commit to doing these declarations every day, at 1 hour, on the hour.
Every hour on the hour. All right, let's give it up for Sheila. All right. That's what it takes. All right, so I want everybody, please, on the count of 3, let's stand up. 1, 2, and 3. Whoa. All right, let's put our hands on our hearts, and we're going to say these words as if we mean them. 1, 2, and 3. I commit to my personal development. Whatever I do it 100% or not at all. How I do anything is how I do everything. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. I choose financial freedom and the lifestyle it provides. My goal is to create passive income streams. I will master the skills and mindset of business. I will never quit until I succeed. I have a million in mind. Okay, turn to both your neighbors, give them a high five, say you're awesome. You're awesome, man. Have a seat.
Yes, right. He's coronavirus free.
I should have it on my fingers.
All right. Okay, have a seat, guys. Have a seat. Have a seat. All right. Okay, guys? Guys? All right. So we're going to get into the book, and what we're going to do is we're going to be getting into wealth file number 1. Now, who can tell me what a wealth file is? What's a wealth file? Anybody have any ideas?
Beliefs around money.
Beliefs around money? Okay. And Terry, were you going to add something?
Well, then that pretty much got it, so.
Sorry.
That's all right. No, that's good. Okay, so here's the deal. We have two groups of people. We have the drifters, and then we have the 2%ers. The 2%ers and the drifters. So where are the drifters going? Where are the drifters going?
Like a ship in a harbor without a captain and the navigator just float around.
Stuck in the tunnel.
Okay, so drifters are going nowhere in a hurry. True. Okay, so 2%ers. So 2%ers actually are the people that have decided that they want to take control of their life and that they want to set the direction of where their life is going to go. How many of you identify yourself as a 2%er? Which means that you can't allow life to just kind of like steer your ship. You need to steer your ship. How many would agree? Right. So Harv said this, well, unfortunately, drifters have certain habits. What do they have? Habits. And doers have certain habits. So we both have habits. And how many kinds of habits are there?
Supportive and non-supportive.
Okay, there are two kinds of habits. There are doing habits and not doing habits. So how many kinds of habits are there? And not doing. Okay, so the 2%ers, are their habits different than the drifters? Yes. How many would agree? They're different, right? Now, where do our habits come from?
Programming.
Our programming. How many would agree? Our habits come from our programming. So what Harv said is, I'm going to show you the habits based on the programming that society gives all of us. That's why the 98% of all people are drifters, because we all get this programming. Only 2% are able to, what's the expression, Janice? Break the spell of the devil, right? Does the devil introduce all kinds of bad habits to or habits to us, wrong habits to us early in life?
Yes.
Yeah, they sure do. And then they become part of our DNA, and then he's got us. True or true? True. Yep, absolutely. Okay. So 2%ers, we have different beliefs and we have different habits. Because a lot of the drifters, they're not doing things, and guess what? They have the habit of not doing them. How many would agree? Whereas 2%ers, they do certain things, and they have the habit of doing those certain things. True or true? Okay, so what we need to do is we need to start identifying, well, if I know exactly how these people think, and I know what their habits and their programming is, and I also know the habits and the programming of the 2%ers, now I have a choice. What's the word? Come on, twice as loud. Thank you. I can keep on thinking like the drifters, or I can choose. And what's the key word? Choose. And by the way, when can you choose? You can choose any anytime you want to join the 2%ers and start thinking a new way and have different programming. How many believe that's true? Now, I wish it was as easy as turning off the old programming and turning on the new programming, but it takes a bit of time to get out of the old ways of thinking and into the new. How many would agree? So it's not like an instantaneous process, although sometimes it can be. And you know, when we do quantum leap, if you believe that you can make a quantum shift in an instant, can you? Yes. If you decide right now, you know what, I've gained 25 pounds, I'm making a commitment right now, I'm going to eat healthy and I'm going to exercise. Could you make that commitment right now? Yeah. And could you follow through on it? Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes, I mean, you've heard about people that quit cold turkey. Raise your hand if you've ever heard that expression. In other words, they made up their mind, that was it, old way is done, that the new me doesn't do this anymore. How many believe that's possible? Okay, so you know what? It's amazing how quickly you can go from the old you to the new you if you really want it bad enough. And the key word is desire. What's the word? Desire. How badly you want it will determine how fast and easily it is to make the change. If you don't want it badly enough, you won't make the change. Yes, go ahead, Janice. A burning desire. Thank you, Janice. Napoleon Hill called it a burning desire towards a definite chief aim. So I would say to you that I hope all of you guys share the same burning passion and desire I have to be a 2%er, to be somebody that actually is productive and contributes in our society. How many would like to be that person? And not only that, what I see out there are a lot of drifters, and drifters need leaders. How many would agree? They need someone that's going to lead them onto the path to success. How many would agree that we need more good leaders out there? Guess what you need to become? You need to start thinking like one right frickin' now. The world needs people like you. There are not enough leaders out there. If you want to lead, can you? Yes. Yeah, but first, before you can lead, you need to develop the habits and the mindset of a successful person that can lead yourself before you can lead anybody else. True or true? Because if you can't lead yourself, you can't lead others. True or true? Yeah, were you going to say something? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, the world does have a lot of leaders. The problem is those are bad guy leaders.
Well, yes.
Leaders that want to encourage the status quo, want to encourage the mindless thinking, want to encourage the go to work, get a good job, stay in your rut.
There are a lot of those leaders, I agree.
A lot of leaders there, so what we need is a lot more good leaders, and that's one of the reasons why this is such an awesome place to be.
Thank you, thank you. And you know, amen, that's right, let's give it up for ourselves, man. Right? Okay, so Harv says, I'm going to show you, in the first part of the book, how you got to be who you are right now. How you got the beliefs you have, how you got the attitudes you have, how you got the habits you have. And I'm going to explain to you how you got them in the first place, because when you came into the world, did you have all these beliefs and all these habits? No. How'd you get them? Yeah, who programmed you? Parents. Our parents, who else? Teachers, who else? Grandparents, who else? Media, who else? Babysitters, teachers, who else? Our friends. Yeah, I mean, now, were all these people experts so that whatever information they were planting inside your mind was like high quality content? No, I wish, right? Okay. Now, does everybody have prejudices? Yes. And are those prejudices going to come through with what they tell you? Yes. Yeah, and if your parents were Democrats, guess what they're going to teach you to be? You don't have any choice in the matter. You grow in a house with Democrats, right? You're a Democrat. If your parents were a fan for the local sports team, that's what you're going to be, right? How much are we influenced by especially our parents? Yes. Yeah, so that's why. But you need to understand that you are not your thoughts. Say, I am not my thoughts. Say it again. Twice as loud. No. It's like you are the computer that runs the program. You are not the program. It's like you are the radio, you are not the radio station. You are the cup that holds the water. You are not the water that's in the cup. You understand what I'm saying? Yes. Just like you're not your mind. You're much greater than your mind. And your mind holds inside of it a bunch of information, but it's not you. And you need to understand that. Because a lot of the stuff that's in your mind that's not you stops you from being the great you should be. How many understand what I just said? Because how many believe inside of you right now there's a little part of you that if you could just shut up your mind and just listen to that little voice, you'd be a million times better off. Yeah, but we listen to that little voice all day long, don't we? Yeah, we sure do. That's that little voice, by the way, is called our conditioned mind, right? And we listen to that little voice all day long, and we believe that little voice that's talking to us all day long, really, it's telling us what's in our best interest. True or true? True. Is that little voice always telling us what's in our best interest? No.
Almost never.
Almost never, exactly. What's the job of the little voice, guys? Survival. To keep you safe. The job of that little voice, the only thing it cares about is the one word. It's called survival. What's the word? Survival. Survival. And the best way for you to survive is to stay right inside your comfort zone, even if you're miserable, because you're surviving, right? Isn't that true? Yeah. You may be miserable, but you're surviving. And if you decide to do something else, you may be even more miserable, so better be miserable with what you got than be miserable with what you don't know. True or true? True. How many people think like this? Do you think a lot of people think like this? This is how everybody thinks, guys. This is how everybody thinks. So, Harv said, now that you understand that your brain is filled with all kinds of ridiculous ideas and ridiculous beliefs that stop you from reaching your full potential, how many agree that that possibly could be true for you? That you're inside in your mind right now are all kinds of ideas and all kinds of beliefs that are ridiculous. Raise your hand if you believe that's possible for you. Okay, now raise your hand if you think, no, everything in my brain is 100% accurate and true. Yeah. So, the first step in change, according to this book, is awareness. What's the word? Awareness. You can't change something until you become aware of it. True or true? True. So you have to become aware that inside of your mind and everybody else's mind is a bunch of BS that your parents told you, or your teachers told you, or a bunch of people told you, or maybe it was true back then, but it's not true right now. Or you had some experiences when you were younger, and they were negative experiences, and now you've generalized them, and that's how you think even to this day. So it's time for you to become aware. What's the word? Aware. Now the second thing is understanding. What's the word? Understanding. Now once you're aware, you say, how have my beliefs affected my decisions in my life? Have I made decisions that were in my best interest based on my beliefs? Or if I had different beliefs, I could be in a much different place than where I am right now. But because of the beliefs I have, this is the results that I've gotten. And now I understand why I get the results I get. Raise your hand if you understand what I'm talking about. That's called understanding. What's it called? Understanding. Yeah, now the third thing is disassociation. What's the word? Disassociation. So all of the beliefs, all of your thoughts, everything you have up until now, they're not you. They aren't. They may be your experiences, they may be something you heard, something you saw, but they are not you. If they don't serve you and they aren't allowing you to get to where you want to go, then are you allowed to say, I don't need this belief any longer? Are you allowed to do that? When are you allowed to do it? When are you allowed to do it, guys? Yeah, you're allowed to do it right now. So disassociation means I am no longer going to believe this belief any longer. This belief doesn't serve me, and you know what? There are other beliefs I could have that I could replace it with. But first, I'm going to disassociate. What's the word? Disassociate. And then the fourth thing is called reconditioning. What's it called? Reconditioning. Yeah, I'm going to take my old program, and I'm going to move it to the side, and I'm going to install. What's the word? Install. A whole new program in its place. Could you do that? Yes. Raise your hand if you could install a whole new program. So each wealth file is like going into the store and saying, oh, here's a program I could install. I can think this way instead of that way. Okay, I'm going to buy this, and I'm going to install this new program to replace my old one. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes. So the very, very first wealth file is like going into the store and buying a program and saying, I know what the old programming is. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to learn the new programming. And wealth file number 1 begins on page 54. And it says this: rich people believe I create my life. Let me hear you. And poor people believe life happens to me. Let me hear you. Okay, man, that was so feeble. All right, so I create my life. Let me hear you.
I create my life.
Again.
I create my life.
Again.
I create my life.
Say it like you mean it.
I create my life.
Tell your neighbor.
I create my life.
Yeah, most people. All right, most people believe life happens to me. All right. So I think it's interesting. Of the 17 wealth files, wealth file number 1 is right out of Harv's program called Warrior. What's it called? Warrior. Yeah, the very first thing. It's actually module number 5 called accountability. Accountability. What's the word? Accountability. Yeah, now do you think most people hold themselves accountable, or do most people look for all kinds of mean excuses on why things don't work out? Yeah. If you want to be in control of your life, what's the very first thing Harv says? He says, if you want to create wealth, and even if you don't want to create wealth, if you want to create freedom, how many want freedom? Freedom means that when you wake up in the morning, you don't have to worry about whether or not your bills for the month are going to be paid. Now, how do you create financial freedom? What kind of income do you need to create in order to become financially free? Passive or residual income. How many would agree? Because when you have passive or residual income, then you're not working and that money comes in every month. True or true? Now, what were all of us programmed in terms of earning money? How were we programmed to earn money? Get a job? Go to? Raise your hand if you were programmed. If you wanted to earn money, you had to go to work. Okay, well, if you go to work to earn your money, what happens to your money when you stop working? Well, then that's not how you become financially free, is it? No. No. If someone had told you from the age of 5 that the way to become financially free is start earning passive income as early in life as possible and just keep growing it, when would you have started earning passive income?
5 years.
When?
5.
Yeah. Now, how many people you know 5, 6, 7, 8 years old were already thinking about earning passive income? Yeah, when you were 12, 13, 14 years old, I know when I was, I went to my mom, Mom, can I have some money? She said, go to get a, yeah. Nobody ever said to me, go earn some passive income. Did anybody ever say to you, go earn passive income? Scott, did anybody ever say to you, go earn passive income? No.
I sure wish they had though.
Yeah, I sure wish they had. Yeah. How many of you wish that when you were young, someone said, start figuring out how to earn passive income? By the time you're 25 years old, you'll have $7,000 to $8,000 a month coming in passive income. How would you like to have been 25 years old having $7,000 to $8,000 a month coming in without you having to work anymore? How many would like that? When should you have been told about it? How come nobody was told about it?
They didn't know. Our parents didn't know.
They didn't know. Okay, well now we know. Okay, so very, very important that you understand that if you want to become, because not everybody wants to get rich, but everybody I know, because here's the question. How many of you guys would like to have the choice? And the key word is choice. Come on, twice as loud. Choice. To be able to spend your time doing exactly what you want without worrying about having to earn a living. How many would like to have that choice? So in other words, if you're working by choice. How many would like to have that situation in their life where you're working because you get to choose to work, not because you have? Is there a difference if you're working because you love it rather than you're working because you need it? Yeah, how many would rather be in that situation? Okay, so the only way you get that choice is when you become financially free. What are the two words? Financially free. Which means what kind of income do you have coming in? Passive or residual income. How many understand what I just said? If you're not creating passive or residual income, then when do you get to become financially free? Because as soon as you stop working, what happens to your income? Stop. Yeah, exactly. Now, are there lots and lots and lots and lots of different ways to create passive residual income? Yeah. If you focus your time and energy on saying, well, gee, I wonder what are some of the different ways I could be creating passive residual income, do you think that within 1 or 2 months you probably could find at least one vehicle that would create passive income for you? Yeah. Raise your hand if you think it was possible. Yeah, how many of you ever heard of affiliate programs? How many of you ever heard of MLMs? Have you ever heard of an MLM? Does that create passive residual income? Yeah. And how much does it cost to get started in a business like that? How much? Okay, but you have to have an MBA, right?
No.
No, but you have to pass an IQ test, right? You have to pass a good-looking test, right? A certain size test, a certain age test. In other words, anybody, what's the word? Anybody can get in. True or true? And can anybody rise to the top? Yes. Yep, they sure can. If you have a mouth, a little bit of a brain, you can do it. So, I don't even say a big brain, just a little bit of a brain, right? So it says, you have to believe if you want to create freedom, even if you don't want to create wealth, how many of you want to at least create freedom? Yeah, you have to believe that you are at the steering wheel of your life, especially your financial life. How many of you would agree that's true? Yes. Yep, well, that's absolutely mandatory. And if you don't believe this, then you must inherently believe that you have little control over your life, and therefore you have little or no control over your financial success. And that is not a rich attitude. How many would agree? Okay. Now, do you have control over every single thing that happens in your life all the time? No. Do you have control over how you respond to every single thing that happens in your life all the time? Yes. Raise your hand if you have 100% control over that. In other words, you can control your life. You may not be able to control every response that you get from every single person or every single situation or every drama that comes up in your life. True or true? True. But can you control 100% how you respond to it? Yes. Yep. Who's it up to control how you respond to it? Now, do we always do the smart, rational thing, or do we allow our emotions to very often get in the way and we do a lot of stupid things? Yep, that's what we do most of the time, right? So you have to believe that if you decided today that you're going to drive to New York tomorrow morning, could you look at a road map and looking at a map, you could draw how you're going to get to New York? Yes? Okay. Now, is it possible that there are going to be some detours along the way that you haven't planned on, that all of a sudden you're not going to be able to go the exact route you planned? Yeah, okay, so you'll have to take the detours, but eventually, no matter what, if you know where you want to get to, even if you got to take detours and you don't get there exactly the way you plan to, are you going to get there? Yes. Raise your hand if you agree, you're going to get there. This is how it is, guys. If you want financial freedom, you know what? You're not going to get there exactly the way you plan to, because there's going to be detours. They're called obstacles. What are they called? Obstacles. Raise your hand if you've ever experienced obstacles. Raise your hand if you think you'll continue to experience obstacles. Raise your hand if you think successful people face obstacles. Raise your hand if you think you'll have obstacles every day for the rest of your life. So what's the best thing for you to learn? How to overcome them. True or true? If you go into a level 10 person, you can overcome what level problems? Yeah, level 5 problems aren't even a problem. They're just something on the to-do list. You just tick it off and do it. True or true? I know I do things sometimes all day long that people say, oh, I could never do that. And that's just one of the things I do during the course of the day that I never even think about anymore. True or true? Because they're at a certain level and I'm at a different level. What's your goal? Your goal is to grow into a high-level person. How many would agree with that? Okay? So Harv is saying you need to take complete control of your life. He says, poor people, what do poor people often do? They'll take half their paycheck, buy lottery tickets, and then watch to see whether or not some balls are going to come up and it's going to change their life forever. True or true? Poor, rich people, he says, occasionally, I don't even buy lottery tickets, but occasionally, rich people will buy lottery tickets. True or true? Yeah, but do they take half of their income to buy lottery tickets? No. And is that their primary strategy for creating success? No, that's the biggest difference between them, right? He says, you have to believe that you are the one who creates your success, that you are the one that creates your mediocrity, and that you are the one creating your struggle around money and success. Consciously or unconsciously, what's the word? Because a lot of what's going on is unconscious. How many would agree? You don't even realize it. Yeah, you know, it's still you, either consciously or unconsciously. Instead of taking responsibility for what's going on in your life, poor people choose to play the role of the victim, the role of the victim. Yeah, a victim's predominant thought is often poor me. And presto, by the virtue of the law of intention, that's exactly what victims get to be. They get to be poor. Right? Poor me. He says, notice I said they play the role of the victim. I didn't say they are victims. He says, I don't believe anyone is a victim. People play the victim because they think it gets them something. What do you think playing the role of the victim you think gets people?
Attention.
What's the word?
Attention.
Is attention important?
Can be.
Is attention important? Yes. Very important.
There's an app.
Most,
It's called Facebook.
yeah, most people, that's one of the most important things they want in their life. To get what? When we were a baby, we cried so we could get what? Yeah, from a very early age. It's inborn into us. We want to get attention. True, true. Yeah, are we going to say something, Terrace?
Not just attention, it can help you meet the need of feeling significant. So the bigger problem that I have, the more significant, I will feel. I tell everyone my problems. So
Sure.
it's a way to meet a need.
And not only that, we're going to talk about it a little bit later on, because you know what? We associate attention with love. Because when we were a baby and we needed attention, who came and we cried? Who took us? Our parents, our baby, they coddled us, they loved us. Now, as adults, we want that same attention. So as adults, instead of crying like babies, actually we do cry like babies. Guess what that was crying like babies was programmed into us? When we were what? Very good, very good. You guys are smart. Okay, very good. Okay.
You can cry like a baby and post it for everybody to see.
And yeah, okay, right, exactly. And you know, the great thing is when you take Warrior, about how many of you guys have taken Warrior with me? You know, module number 5 is about accountability, and it's talking about eliminating from your life once and for all your victim mentality. And this is really all about that. Were you going to say something, Janice?
And that's exactly. It's called taking responsibility for our lives.
Yes, that's right. Now, we were not programmed to take responsibility for our lives. We weren't. We were programmed to do a number of things, and the biggest thing we were programmed to be was we were programmed to be the victim. What's it called? Victim. It's in your DNA to play the role of the victim. It's in your DNA, and Harv says that there are 3. How many? 3. Telltale signs when someone is playing the role of the victim. Now, the first one is called blame. What's the word? Blame. Yeah, it's called the blame game. Who can you figure out to blame for why your life isn't great and why things aren't working? And how many people can you point the finger at without ever having to point the finger at who?
Myself.
Yeah, blame. So who do we blame? Like, who are some of the people? Do we blame our boss? Do we blame our employees? Do we blame our upline? Do we blame our downline? Right? Do we blame the economy? Do we blame the president? Do we blame the weather? Do we blame just about, and always, 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 as Harv says right here, do we ever blame our parents? Raise your hand if you ever blamed your parents. We all blame our parents. They're the number one culprit for most people. True or true? It's always everybody and anybody but us. There's always a reason why things haven't worked out. True or true? That's a sure tell sign that you are playing the role of the victim. Because in almost every situation, will you sometimes part or all of the reason why things didn't turn out right? Raise your hand sometimes that you're part of the reason why things didn't turn out. And more often than not, if you really evaluate it and you say, what did I say, or what did I do, or what didn't I do that I could have done or I shouldn't have done that would have made a big difference in this whole situation? How did I contribute to the result in my life? That's what a mature person who takes responsibility of their life looks at things. It's not blaming, it's learning from the situation and correcting and continuing. What's the expression?
Correcting and continuing.
It's about correcting and continuing, yes. You understand? Raise your hand if you understand what I'm talking about. But how many of us started blaming from an early age? Raise your hand if you learned how to blame from an early age. What age do you think you were when you first learned about the word blaming? How did you learn about blaming?
From other kids.
From other kids?
Parents, probably.
Yeah, from my parents? Sure, sure. Hey, politicians, they're blaming the other side all the time. Everything is, especially, isn't it true? Yeah. So at what age do you think blaming became part of your personality?
2 and 3.
Yeah, it's part of who you are. And until you recognize that and stop it, you are doomed. Now, the second thing after blame is what? Justification. What's the word? Justification, justification, justification. Harv says this, he uses the example of, people that are saying, well, you know what? Money's not all that important. Raise your hand if you've ever heard anybody say that. Raise your hand if you know that person intimately. Right? A lot of us know. Money's not all that important. Well, like Harv says, if you don't think money's important, you think you're going to have much of it? No. If that's what your belief system is? He says here, if you don't think having a motorcycle is important, are you going to have one? No. If you don't think having a pet parrot is important, are you going to have one? No. If you don't think your wife is important, are you going to have one, or for very long? Yeah, right. No. So if you don't think money's important, guess what you're not going to have a lot of? That's how it works. And besides, some people say, well, geez, money's not as important as happiness. Raise your hand if you ever heard that before. Oh, money's not as important as your health. Money's not. What an asinine thing to say. That's like saying, what's more important, my arm or my leg? Maybe they're both important. True or true? Money is important in the areas in life where it's important, and it's totally unimportant in the areas of life where it's unimportant. True or true? Okay. How many churches and libraries and beautiful buildings can be built just with love? Just with good intentions? Takes money, right? Okay. How many of your bills can you pay with your goodwill? How many of your vendors will say, well, Scott, you're a nice guy, that's enough, you don't have to pay me? Right? How many banks will accept your deposit of, well, I don't actually have any money, but I'm a really terrific person, so go ahead? No. In some things in life, you have to have real hard money. True or true? True. And is life going to be easier for you if you have it than if you don't? Yes. Yes. Now, so is money important in your life? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Now, money is important. What Harv says is it's not the only thing that's important, but it's right up there next to air. How many would agree? Yeah. How many of you guys can live without money? If you want to have a strong financial future, you have to stop rationalizing and justifying all your excuses for why you're not being successful. And then you say, well, it's not that important anyways. And what does Harv say in the book? Harv says he had somebody come up to him and say, well, Harv, you're always talking about money, money, money. I'm telling you, money's not that important. And Harv went like this. You're broke, aren't you? And the person, I'm sorry, you're right. Yeah. And the person says, well, right now I'm kind of having, no, you're always broke, aren't you? The guy said, well, yeah. He said, he says, anybody that tells you that money's not important, you know what you can guarantee about that person? They don't have any. There's never been a rich person ever that says money's not important. Never. They understand the importance of money. They understand that it has its place. It's not the only thing. It's not your God. It's not what you do there are other things in life, but money is important. True or true? True. Yeah. And so justifying that money isn't important, it's like you weren't successful, so now you want to take a pill to relieve yourselves of the disappointment of failing, and taking that pill, one pill you can take is called justification. True or true? At what point in your life did you learn how to justify things?
Very young.
Very young, right? And finally, we have one more step that definitely separates that where you can identify if someone is a victim. That's the word complain. What's the word? Complain. Come on, what's the word? Complain. Yeah, complain. Okay, so how many have ever heard the expression, what we focus on expands? Yeah. So when you're complaining, what are you focusing on? What's going on in your life that's good, or what's going on in your life that's bad? Yeah, so guess what you're going to attract into your life more of? What's good or what's bad? Yeah, you know what? In fact, Harv calls it, when you're complaining, you're turning yourself into a crap magnet. What are you turning yourself into? Crap. Yeah, you're attracting all kinds of crap into your life. You're a crap magnet. Right? You're attracting all kinds of crap into your life. Now, why do people like to join others that are complaining? Why do other people like to join people that are complaining?
Comfort zone.
Comfort zone, why else?
They're waiting for their turn.
Thank you. Isn't that what Harv says right in this book? Everybody say, hey, you think you got a bad story? Wait to hear mine. Oh man, I'll blow you. You know those kinds of people. They can't wait to tell their sob story because their sob story is going to beat your sob story. And then somebody else is going to beat your. Everybody's in the room. They want to beat each other with their sob stories. True, true. Complaining, 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 complaining. Now, here's the problem again. If you're complaining, you know what you're automatically telling the universe to bring into your life? More things to what? More things to complain about. That's what you're doing. You're programming the universe to say, I love to complain. There's nothing I enjoy more than complaining. Give me more shit so I have more stuff to complain about. Raise your hand if you think there are people out there that think this way. Yeah, you cannot think this way. You can't. You have to stop thinking, playing the role of the victim. Go ahead, Janice.
One of the things I see is what you think about and think about comes back.
Yes, absolutely. You bet. So it says here, blaming. So on page 59, blame, justifying, complaining are like pills. They're like what? Pills. They're like what? Pills. Yeah. They are nothing more than stress reducers. They alleviate the stress of failure. Think about it. If a person weren't failing in some way, shape, or form, would they have the need to blame, justify, or complain? And the obvious answer is no. So he says, from now on. So in other words, he's telling you, it's time to change your old drifter habits to 2%er habits, to 2%er beliefs. As you hear yourself disastrously blaming, justifying, or complaining, cease and desist immediately. As soon as you catch yourself playing the role of the victim, you need to stop doing it. And when you take my warrior training, we have a whole module on nothing but how you need to stop playing the role of the victim. The role of the victim has to be part of who you were, not part of who you are. You understand what I'm talking about? Can you change who you were to somebody new?
Yes.
Can you change the old you to somebody new? Raise your hand if you believe you can. So what Harv is saying right now is you need to accept full responsibility for all the results in your life. The good, the bad, and everything in between. And no more playing the role of the victim. You guys understand what I'm talking about? Because it's in your DNA right now. You can't help yourself but play the role of the victim because it's been part of who you are. You guys understand what I'm saying? So you have to become aware. What's the word? Aware. And realize how much playing the role of the victim destroys. What's the word? Destroys. Every chance you have of reaching your full potential. You can never reach your full potential if you play the role of the victim. Go ahead, Janice.
What if we sat down today, all of us, and made a commitment as of this day, never to play justified elections?
Well, that would be a wonderful thing, but I know 99%. You want to know something? It would last for 30 minutes. Within half an hour after everybody left this room, you know what we're all going to be back to doing? Driving in traffic. We're going to be swearing at the guy in front of us or swearing that the light turned red. We're going to be back to our old self. True or true? True. This is only 90-minute break from reality, right? But look. How many of you could make up your mind that, you know what, for the balance of this week, you're going to, every single time you catch yourself blame, justify, or complain, you're going to catch yourself and you're going to say cancel, cancel, and replace it with a more powerful thought. How many could do that? That's a training. What's it called? Training. Yeah, and you're not going to catch yourself all the time, but the more you become aware of it, the more you're going to catch yourself. True or true? True. Right? And it's critical that you understand this, because if you don't, you're always going to play the role of the victim. So on page number 61, and my book is all written up. You can see how I have all kinds of my own stuff in here. Because wherever Harv writes the word you, I write the word I. So he says, it's time to decide. How many think now is a good time to make a decision? Now's a good time to make a decision, right? He says, you can be a victim or you can be rich. I changed it to say, I can be a victim or I can be rich. Not only can I be rich, but I can be free. How many want to be free? So even if you don't want to be rich, how many of you want to be free? Okay, so if you want to be free, you can either be a victim or you can be free, but you can't be both. Listen up. Every time, and I mean every time you blame, justify, or complain, you are slitting your financial throat. So in my book, it reads, listen up. Every time, and I mean every time, I blame, justify, or complain, I am slitting my financial throat. I want all of you guys to actually take your finger, put it like this. Come on, right now, every one of you guys. Everyone, okay, I want you to slit your throat. And every time you blame, justify, or complain, I want for you to realize that that's exactly what you're doing to your financial life. You guys understand that? Yeah. It's graphic, but you know what? It's kind of like, how many of you have these things where you snap this elastic band every time you complain or you're not supposed to do something, right? So it's a reminder, right? This is a reminder. True, right? So he says, sure, it would be nice to use a kinder and gentler metaphor, but forget it. But this is Harv. Harv likes to give tough love. He says, I'm not interested in kind or gentle right now. And when you're with Harv at Warrior, man, he's like the drill sergeant. I mean, he doesn't give a, you're doing it. That's all there is to it, right? He says, I'm interested in helping you see exactly what the heck you're doing to yourself. Is that important? Yes. That every once in a while we realize how we lie to ourselves, how we sabotage ourselves, how we're ruining every opportunity to reach our full potential? Yes. Every once in a while, do we need to be reminded about that? Yes. Raise your hand if you've got to be reminded about this. How often?
All the time.
Every day?
That's why I show up here.
Every single day. It's not just once a week. It's every single day. Every single day, day after day after day after day, week after week, month after month, till that becomes who you are. That's how it works. True or true? It starts off slow. You're starting to figure it all out. A month goes by. You're doing your declarations every day. Eventually, things start to pick up. You start getting some momentum. At the beginning, it's hard. True or true? Because that's at the launch. What's it called? How many of you guys have ever seen a rocket ship blast off? Yeah, when they were going to the moon, when that rocket ship was launching, did it just zoom up in the air, or did it barely start to lift off the ground? It took like 10 seconds just to clear the tower. True or true? True. Was there a lot of energy being expended? Yes. Just to move it 100 feet? Yes. You know how many tons of energy it took just to move that great big huge rocket ship 100 feet up in the air? A lot. Yeah, but it started to pick up speed, didn't it? It started to go faster and faster and faster up into the sky, didn't it? Yes. And by the time 10 minutes comes and goes by, it's not even in our atmosphere anymore. It's on the outside of the atmosphere, and that's going 20,000 miles an hour. True or true? 10 minutes ago, it was going 10 feet an hour. Now it's going 20,000 miles an hour. It picked up momentum. Guess what's going to happen to every single one of you? You're like that rocket ship at launch. You don't see a lot of momentum at the beginning. True or true? True. Because it takes a lot of energy to get that body in motion. True or true? True. And there's a rule called the law of motion. Now, what's it called? Law of motion. And you need to have that law working in your favor instead of against you. The way it works against you is a body at rest tends to stay at rest. So if you're at rest, guess what you're going to tend to stay at? Rest. Yeah, whereas a body in motion tends to stay in motion. So what's your job? To get in motion. What's your job? Motion. Get in motion, right? Raise your hand. That's your job. You got to get in motion. And as you get in motion, that will create momentum. What's the word? Momentum. How many would like to have a lot of momentum behind you? How many believe it's possible that you could have momentum behind you? All of a sudden, you have new people supporting you. You have new opportunities coming to you. Better things happening to you all the time. That's called momentum. What's it called? Momentum. How many believe you can control your momentum? Raise your hand if you believe you can control your momentum. Absolutely. So, it's time to decide. It's time to decide once and for all if you're going to continue to play the role of the victim, which all of us do all day long, or you're going to change that habit. You're going to stop playing the role of the victim. You're going to assume full responsibility for everything that happens in your life, good or bad. You're not going to point the finger at other people. You're not going to blame. You're not going to justify. You're not going to complain. He says, the last paragraph before the declaration, it's time to take back my power and acknowledge that I create everything that is in my life and everything that is not in my life. Realize that I create my wealth, my non-wealth, and every level in between. So let's all stand up for the declaration. 1, 2, and 3. Whoa! Okay, let's put our hands on our hearts. And I'm going to say it first, and then you guys are going to repeat it. I create the exact level of my financial success. Let me hear you.
I create the exact level of my financial success.
Again.
I create the exact level of my financial success.
Again.
I create the exact level of my financial success.
Again.
I create the exact level of my financial success.
Say it like you mean it.
I create the exact level of my financial success.
Tell both your neighbors.
I create the exact level of my financial success. I create the exact level of my financial success.
Okay, turn to both your neighbors, give them a high five, say you're awesome. You're awesome. All right, have a seat, guys. Have a seat, have a seat. So wealth file number one, it's all about you becoming a warrior and accepting full responsibility and holding yourself accountable for the results in your life. Now, is this a challenging wealth file to adopt? How many think it's going to be a bit of a challenge to switch from being a drifter to a 2%er and developing new habits? How many think it's a challenge? It is going to be a challenge because your comfort zone is very, very, very strong, and your conditioned mind, guess where your conditioned mind wants to keep you all the time? Safe, inside your comfort zone. How many would agree? Right? And our goal, because here's our goal. Our goal is to become a level 10. In other words, whatever comes up in our life, we're more than ready to take it on. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Raise your hand if you'd like to become a level 10 person. Right? You've worked on yourself, you've worked on your mind, you've worked on your skills, you've worked on your mindset. Now you're going to be a level 10 person. Most people, I will tell you, that I come in contact with throughout the day, when it comes to business and entrepreneurship and financial success, at best they're like a level 1. Which means that guess where their comfort zone is? 1. Anything between 0 and 1. So if I say to them, okay, I want for you to, if I'm coaching them, I'd say, here's what I want for you to do today. I want you to reach out to 10 people, and here's what I want you to say to them. Well, reaching out to anybody for them is like a level, that takes at least a level 2 person. So that means I'm going to tell them they're going to have to get outside their comfort zone. Now, is that going to make them uncomfortable? Yes. Yeah, do you like being uncomfortable? No. So your brain's going to say, I'm not going to listen to Jeff. Jeff doesn't know what he's talking about anyways. I'm just going to stay right in here. But in order for you to go to a level 2 person, where are you going to have to get out of? Yeah. Now, let's say in a month from now, you forced yourself out of your comfort zone, you go to a level 2 person. I said, well, okay. Has your growth ended? No. Now, you're not going to go to a level 10 person all of a sudden, but can you grow now from a level 2 person to a level 3 person? Can a level 3 person take on more challenges than a level 2? Okay, and then once you feel pretty good at level 3, can you go to level 4? 5? Yeah, can you keep growing all the time? Yeah, now, because if you take on a level 7 challenge, that level 7 challenge is a level 7 challenge for everybody. If you're a level 2 person, what does that mean for you? You're a level 2 person taking on a level 7 challenge. What's going to happen? How often does a 2 beat a 7? How often does a 2 beat a 7? Never. So when a level 2 person takes on a level 7 challenge, who's going to win? The person or the challenge? Is that challenge ever going to change? No, but can you grow from a level 2 person to a level 8 person? Yes. If you go to a level 8 person, can you beat a level 7 challenge? Yes. So it's the same challenge, but you're a new person now. That new person can beat that old challenge. True or true? The challenge is not going to change, so what has to change? Okay, now the only way to do it is to do this. How many would agree? That's what we're all about. Okay, so in the 5 minutes we have left, does anybody have any announcements? First of all, give yourselves a round of applause. You guys were totally amazing. And once again, let's give it up for Corey Lonatic Schwartz. Corey. And if you're watching and you're in Phoenix, you should be here. If you're not in Phoenix, please make it a point, if you aren't watching, to maybe post where you're watching from, so we have an idea of where everybody's watching from. All right, so real quickly, for those of you that have any announcements, does anybody have an event they're hosting or something they want to share with everybody? Anybody? Yes, go ahead, Jonathan.
Oh, shit. I'll be having a comedy show at the end of the month. I believe it's the 27th, so Friday night in Avondale. So I'll be keeping you posted. I'll be posting more about it. We're just putting it out there. You guys don't have nothing to do on the 27th. Come on down to Avondale. It's a free show at the restaurant. I'll be some W last.
Okay, very good. Anyone else? Yes, go ahead, Kevin.
As some of you may know, I help stressed out people recreate. I have some adventure vehicles that I rent out on a nightly basis. I would be more than happy to talk to you about trade outs if anybody is interested in that sort of thing, to get themselves out of their little confined area and get out into the woods. Everything's all on board, camping equipment, stove, the whole gamut. And I would be interested in talking to you about trade professionally for whatever I think could become a win-win for us. So,
Okay, great.
talk to me if you're interested.
Very good. Very good. Cool. Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead, George.
For those of you that have not plugged into the Unstoppable Warrior program, I highly recommend it. Jeff is an awesome instructor, as we all know, and you will probably dig out some things that are holding you back that he doesn't cover here.
Thank you.
Number two, change your water, change your life. I've got an event on the 21st at One Fire. It's a yoga, cycling, Pilates studio from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Guys start at Indian school if you're on the West Valley. Number three, all our real estate people that are investors, buyers, sellers, and you have some properties you want to market, talk to me.
Okay. All right. A lot of stuff there. All right. Very good. All right. Yes, go ahead.
My first time here, I was at the Next Level by Association dinner.
Yeah.
And heard you guys talk, and so it's a great event, and glad to be here.
Outstanding. Glad to have you. Outstanding. Very good. Very good. Okay. Anyone else? Yeah. Go ahead.
On March 12th, we're doing another event. Our company's going to be doing monthly events, and if you'd like to know how to look and feel your best or earn some residual income, come see us on the 12th. It'll be in Phoenix.
Okay, very good. Anyone else? Okay, so I have a few things going on. Number one is in a couple of weeks I will be starting up Warrior again. Once you've paid for Warrior once, you can take it over and over and over and over and over again. And I would encourage how many of you guys have taken Warrior with me? So quite a few guys. If you have not taken Warrior with me, I really encourage you to come and talk to me. It's every Monday night for 7 consecutive Monday nights. It's really great. You do it from home. You just turn on your computer and you go to Facebook Live and you can do it, and I promise you it's a life changer. For me, I really don't want to be in business with anybody that's not been through Warrior. It's just a mindset thing, because if you haven't been through Warrior, chances are you're going to sabotage yourself. And the other thing we didn't even talk about in the book that Harv does say is, what do victims need? What does every victim need? What do they need?
Their victim friends.
They need. What else do they need? They need somebody to make them the victim, right? They need the perpetrator. You hang around victim long enough, guess who you get to be? Yeah, they're going to point the finger at who? It's your fault. Yeah, so, I don't want to be around those kinds of people. How many of you guys don't want to be around those kinds of people? That they're victims, they're going to find a reason to point the finger right at you. It's your fault. They'll even set you up so that when it fails, they can point the finger right at you, right? Okay, so Warrior number one. LinkedIn. If you guys have not been to my LinkedIn training, or maybe if you have, tomorrow night we're going to be doing a LinkedIn training. Look, LinkedIn, if you guys are in business and you're serious about really upping your game and meeting some great people and really growing your business, there's no platform like LinkedIn. So I would encourage all of you guys to come over to our offices tomorrow night, learn how to really use your LinkedIn profile and really market yourself on LinkedIn. It's a gold mine that most everybody in this room have no clue how to monetize. If you could realize how much money you could make just by using LinkedIn, I promise you, you would be all over LinkedIn. I guarantee you today I'll spend hours on LinkedIn. So that's the next thing.
Where's it at?
At my office, if you want, just get a hold of me afterwards. I'll give you that information. Okay, and then next, what is it? The 20. I'll have to look at the calendar, but I think the third weekend of this month, we're going to be doing the 13 steps of the Andrew Carnegie philosophy, basically Think and Grow Rich, over 2 days at my office. And I pretty much have been eating, sleeping, drinking it, creating this 2-day event. And it's going to be, if you guys want transformation in your life, you'll definitely want to do that. So that's coming up. I'll give you the dates. I believe it's the third weekend of this month. The 8th, the 15th, the 22nd. So maybe I like the 21st and 22nd. I'll have to look at me. So that's what I'm thinking we're going to do that. All right. So again, give yourselves a round of applause. By all means, before you leave, I want, for those of you that are worried about the coronavirus, I won't hug you. For those of you that don't care, I will hug you. Right? So it's all good, right? And you guys have been totally amazing. Make it a point to network with everybody here. Thank you guys so much for watching on the live stream. I always end all of my trainings with one word. That one word is namaste.